Exactly.
नहीं, वो देवी प्रकाश जी, वो तो डेवलप है.
चिंतन जी, आप भी थोड़ा सा अगर एलिवेशन अगर लैपटॉप को दे सकें, जस्ट लाइक आई यूज कपल ऑफ बुक्स. अभी तो मैंने ट्राइपॉड पे फिक्स कर लिया है. मैं अभी अगर अपना व्यू थोड़ा सा भी अगर 1-2 फुट और बड़ा कर दूंगा तो यू विल फाइंड ऑड थिंग्स व्हिच आर लाइंग अराउंड मी. पर ये बेस्ट ऑफ द बेस्ट व्यू है अभी.
Actually, in some professional webinars, they even give you the dress code. That so, Monica, वो जो आप कह रहे हो ना SOP, lighting,
Right.
so they even give you a dress code.
So till now the setup was on rehearsal mode. Now this is a proper mode because due to heavy lights temperature बहुत हो जाता है. घर पर ही setup बनाया हुआ है, empirically defined है.
We have all of us have made you quite comfortable. We are meeting for the first time. I believe I can introduce you to Professor Jyotirmay Mathur, our Center. Although you guys are meeting over the screen, but hopefully we will be able to catch more of you, because when Madhu has recommended somebody, that it means business. Hopefully we'll be talking to you and we'll be able to take you on board, because we really needing legal advice. Everybody was saying something.
I would request whoever is not speaking, please mute yourself.
So I believe whomsoever have joined us, who is involved in any manner with the entrepreneurial ecosystem, pan Rajasthan or pan India, we'll be welcoming suggestions and your contributions in any manner you can, because this program will be surely helping the students. Because if a TBI is open in a technical institute, the main aim is that converting the students into future entrepreneurs, or converting their ideas into, you can say, a viable startup or viable entrepreneurial venture. So
Excellent.
all the startup ecosystem partners to kindly contribute. Sir, you've got something to say about this?
Yeah, this program is not for students mainly, students as well as startups who are at early stages. So people who are energetic, who have intent of registering themselves as a startup or have registered somewhere, they would be kind of trained to various nuances of becoming a successful startup, including the funding stage, how to face the funder and how to be prepared for that, how to develop a prototype, what order of testing is required before you launch your product commercially, beta testing and marketing, market analysis, all those things, the areas would be covered. So students as well as non-students, frankly speaking, our focus will be anybody who has intent of starting as a startup or has already started a startup but not really made a good business or has not really had a successful funding with him.
Right, right.
And engineers as well as non-engineers, there is no restriction.
Yeah, it's for all the future prospective incubatees, prospective startups, anybody having any kind of viable idea. Why I was telling about the students, because students normally join any institute looking at a very cushy job. So we normally talk about a term that is known as entrepreneurship. So this kind of pre-incubation programs will be helping them to make a better career in the whichever organization they want to join. Because as all of you are aware, the dignitary is aware about that thinking outside the box. So hopefully this pre-incubation program will be giving them an edge over the others. And for sure, they can highlight this in their CVs also. So that was the reason.
But the batch, but Monica, typical batch of 30, which we are aiming at, would have roughly 30% students and 70% non-students.
That's it. What I'm saying is for students, it's going to be an elite.
Right. No, the point why I'm emphasizing is that people who are attending this should not interpret that this is mainly a program.
No, not at
This
all.
is mainly a program for non-students. Students are also invited.
Part. You can say
That's it.
It's only 30%. It is specifically for aspiring entrepreneurs who are planning to convert their business.
Yeah.
Especially for them or innovators driven themselves, as we have already pointed out.
Okay.
Surendra sir, are you contributing in any manner or anything you can say related to the innovative climate or innovation scenario in Karnataka in any manner? If you can discuss, still participants join us.
Yeah, so definitely Karnataka being the IT city, and Karnataka is where even the IT innovation really started, and from just outsourcing to the real product innovation that Karnataka has seen. Other than that, I think it is also important to understand that the whole ecosystem, startup ecosystem, is very strong in Karnataka, and thanks to the base which was provided by the IT companies, big IT companies, because they were having that kind of ecosystem right in place before that. It was just nurturing of those ecosystem with the right institutions and giving them the platform, and we can see that almost 10,000 plus startups are there in Bangalore, and out of them many are funded, and you can also understand that almost 30 to 40% of the unicorns in India lies in Karnataka. Having said so, but definitely the NASSCOM and various institutions, collaboration, incubation, IITs, etc., all put together has really, brought a lot of cohesiveness, in terms of a particular person, let's say, incubation with the right institutions, or even NASSCOM, etc., has really played a very significant role in terms of giving confidence to the person who is just starting its business. And I see a lot of states also following that model, where social institutions are coming up very well to support the startup ecosystem. Yeah, Monica. Yeah, Monica, you want to proceed?
I think we can start. It's 10.
A very good morning to our participants, our eminent panelists. And today we have come to the penultimate, the fourth day of our 5-day conference in IPR. And I welcome the panelists. I'll just give a brief overview about the panelists who will be joining us. Professor Jyotirmay Mathur, he's an eminent professor in mechanical engineering and Center of Energy and Environment at Malvi National Institute of Technology, Jaipur. He's a postgraduate and PhD from IIT Delhi, and he works in the area of energy planning and modeling. And he's presently leading the MNIT Innovation and Incubation Center, and under his able guidance, Today we can boast of 73 startups registered with MIIC. And sir, just taking a minute more, let's just like to say certain things more. During this COVID timings, Professor Mathur was instrumental in encouraging our startups to bring out some specific products which were beneficial in this pandemic. Like we have brought in like face shields, wash basins, sanitizing chambers, non-contact specimen collection chambers, UV chambers, and so on and so forth. Then, so I'll just take a moment. This Dr. Kuldeep Singh, he is MBBS MD and DM from Sanjay Gandhi Postgraduate Institute of Medical Sciences, Lucknow, and he is presently serving as Dean Academics, Professor and Head Department of Pediatrics at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Jodhpur. So we welcome you. Mr. Chintan Bakshi, a third panelist, is Executive Officer at Startup Oasis, an incubation center set up to foster innovation and entrepreneurship in Rajasthan. It's a joint initiative of RICO and CII initiative. CII brings in a unique experience of running and advising new ventures and technical startups companies. So that is the forte of Chintan. Mr. Paresh Gupta, one of our mentors, is a 6-time TEDx speaker. He's founder and CEO of Global Center for Entrepreneurship and Commerce, GCEC. He's a brand ambassador of Rajasthan Government Youth and Sports Activities. And if I start reading his biodata, I believe the time will be less. But I would like to add that he plays loving sitar, singing and cooking at his free time. And we are still waiting for him to bring us something cooked by him, along with Professor Mathur. So we are still awaiting that. The next panelist for the day is eminent Mr. Surendra Mohta. He's an expert in legal, contract, secretarial, e-commerce, IT, IPR. He's based in Bengaluru, Karnataka. He's a company secretary and lawyer with over 15 years of experience in all aspects of corporate laws, specializing in secretarial and corporate affairs, legal matters, litigations, non-litigations, compliance management, so on and so forth. So we welcome you. And last but not the least, our moderator, Professor Puneet Sharma, a technical expert and a Doordarshan anchor, having immense experience of conducting panel discussions. So as the time is less, I could just rush through their biodatas or their introductions. But each and every panelist today, we would really like to hear from them about the scenario. Thanks a lot. Over to you, Puneet.
Thank you, Dr. Monica. During this journey of 5 days workshop, interactive sessions conducted by MNIT, MIIC, Ayurved Foundation, IP Create Labs, I once again welcome all the eminent panelists as well as audiences. And the topic for today's discussion is real life challenges in the post-COVID-19 phase. As we all know that the only change is the permanent thing in life. Challenging times are an opportunity for individuals and the nation to raise above their comfort zone and enhance their life. During last 3-4 months, we have been exercising alternate ways to cope up with whatever the challenges we are facing in day-to-day life, be it shopping, be it going out, a compulsive going or non-compulsive going. Rather, I'll say we have started using communication more when it comes to commutation. Had it been a situation of 3-4 months back, we would have been interacted on a platform which is physically accessible, right? Professor Kuldeep Singh might have traveled from Jodhpur to MNIT to deliver just 1 hour session. But we have started this technological platform out of this compulsion. Now coming to Professor Jyotirmay Mathur, to begin with you. Post COVID-19, especially now it is already on. What are the challenges and opportunities in terms of startups or whatever way? Over to Professor Mathur.
Thank you, Puneet. Good that you have asked challenges as well as opportunities, because it's always a mix. There are challenges as well as the situation is that new opportunities have also opened up. So let me start with what you asked first, the challenges. Of course, as the economic scenario is much different than what it was in pre-COVID era, I would say. Uh, in general, because of the economic conditions, whether you talk about ability of startups to take risk or ability of funders to risk their capital while investing or deciding about investing in a startup, has changed significantly. That is one major change that has come. Second is the appetite of our society or economy, whatever you say, has also changed or rather reduced for consuming classical products, I would say. Definitely the appetite for selected band of new products has increased, but yes, there is a shift and startups need to look into that. If they work in a similar way as they were in the pre-COVID era, definitely there's going to be a challenge. Third is the ease of developing prototype, getting them tested, getting them fabricated in mass scale, transporting and serving the orders. That has also been affected because of various restrictions that still keep coming as a surprise. One fine day you find that the borders are closed and you need different licenses or permissions and so on and so forth. So that ease has got affected and we need to be careful about them and planning them well. Manpower is another area in which some challenges have come up. People who were working far away from their hometowns, they have gone back. So there are startups who had trained their staff, but now for some reason or fear, they've gone back and they're not ready to come. So that is to be seen how they want to, they can address that. And some startups always had a back of their mind that there is a job opportunity always. So let me try my hand for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and then if I don't succeed, the job market is quite open and it's not really difficult to find a good job. I'll go and still find myself a good life. That scenario is not the same, unfortunately, as of now, but I hope that will improve. As far as opportunities are concerned, definitely, as I said, new types of demands are coming up. They just need to identify them and then pivot them if it is necessary. Shift in preferences is happening in the society and we need to capture them. There is a kind of anti-China feeling in the economy as such and society, in every sector of the society. And I think that is one big opportunity for our startups. Can they dare to capitalize that opportunity? And I've already seen some of the startups who are trying to do that. To what extent they'll be successful, let us hope they are successful very soon. And so these kind of things are there, and I'll come back in the next round just to.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Mathur, for a good start. I mean, we normally understand things when it comes to compulsion. और लास्ट के महीने में ही ज्यादा पढ़ाई होती है हमें सबको मालूम होता है कि एग्जामिनेशंस आर इनएविटेबल, वो होंगे ही, लेकिन हम जब प्रिपरेशन लीव आती है तभी शुरू करते हैं. So nature mother has given this opportunity for us to be in that mental frame of PL or preparation leave so that we can prepare ourselves for better tomorrow. Coming to Professor Kuldeep, first of all, I extend our gratitude to whole medical fraternity, the way you have come forward, the whole teams have come forward to serve humanity, for saving life, keeping their own lives at stake, not going back home and meeting your own family members. It's in no words we can express our gratitude to whole medical fraternity. So our sincere thanks to you for being with us. Now coming to you, since you being a doctor as well as an educationist, it's not easy to conduct our school system and university system for teaching purpose, especially the way we have been practicing it earlier. So your piece of advice, because it has to start as early as it's possible. In what way, keeping all medical precautions in mind, in what way conduction of education or teaching learning methodologies, whatever, can be executed, which are medically safe as well?
Thank you, Professor Puneet Sharma. And there was a wonderful start by Professor Jyotirmaya Mathur about the challenges and opportunities in the innovations and during the COVID and post-COVID. So one of the important thing from the medical point of view, we have to understand that COVID is going to long for a long time. It is not a short-term thing. It is going to last for a very long time. We are now getting more patients. We are getting the patients with different manifestations, not with the respiratory, but other problems. We have right now patient around 50 patients. There are 6, 7 patients on the ventilator also. The doctors are caring. Some of the doctors have also become positive, and some of the staff were also positive, but we had managed them very well. So basically, uh, this COVID has given a lot of opportunities for learning, and I think we have to understand first of all the COVID. The COVID, honestly speaking, we don't know much about COVID. As being a doctor, still we don't know much about COVID. Honestly speaking, everybody whosoever gives a guarantee that COVID is going to away, that is wrong, because there are many things which are being unfolded nowadays with the COVID. So earlier we are thinking about the like respiratory ARDS only, but now they have a different manifestation. The innovations earlier were talking about the protective devices, and then they shifted to the ventilator. But we now found that the ventilator are also not useful. So we have to find something which is need based. That is the identification of the patient, managing the patient, because there are complications now are occurring, and that are not related to the use of the ventilator or something. We have to find out some devices which can increase their survival or prevent the complications. So because the ambulations are affected, so they need to be ambulated as far as possible. They should move about. So there are many things we are learning, and that's why we, as a medical institution, as a medical facility, we are teaching our PGs also, and they are involved in everything in the patient care. And we have also started our education since the beginning. From 23rd March, we have an online education, and we also gone into reverse telemedicine. That is, the patient is in the hospital with us, and the student is sitting at the home. So they are able to watch the patient, take the history, guide about the treatment, discuss and facilitate the like what has to be done. So in this case, the patient is also safe and the doctors are also safe. But again, the most important thing is that whenever a medical institute or any institute consider about the education, they should keep in mind certain things. First of all, the safety is very important. Whether during the lockdown they have become like trained about taking the preventive measure or not, how confident we are. So we have to reassess, and every medical institute has to now relook, or any institute has to relook into the objectives and the goals of their programs from the medical point of view, from the medical institute, because this is a more of the practical oriented course. It is a professional course. So we cannot keep the students away for a long time. So any institute, if they are considering to call back their student, they have to consider following points. First of all, do they are confident to provide the facility for testing, and are they confident to provide the testing as and when required multiple times? Because once the student comes, then the testing should be done. When after 7 to 10 days another testing should be done. Suppose if the student comes positive, then do they have the facility for the quarantine? Or if the quarantine facility is there, if the student also has the fever and other complication, do have the facility for managing such a patient, such a student? Or if the student also develop complication, do they have facility for providing the like right type of treatment? All the things taken care by the institute. And also, if they are in the hostel or in the campus, do the institute has a facility for food supply, safe food supply? Whether this food supply is does not prevent the mingling of the students? Does the students have been trained or they have nudged toward the healthy habits, taking precautions like hand hygiene, personal hygiene, wearing the face mask all the time? So if the answer to these questions is yes, then you are ready for calling back the students. Now we at AIMS Jodhpur, we have analyzed all these factors considering around 30 faculty members from different specialties. And then we start approaching the parents, and we had started calling back the student. The first professional students, around 100, they have come back. There are 19 girls and around 80 boys, and none of them have been positive till now. The repeat testing is also negative, and also they are learning how to tackle this. Now this is a way to handle this situation, because unless until you take a like a calculated approach, calculated risk approach, we will weaken our economy, will weaken our innovation system. So I think if these precautions can be taken, and if we are ready from the like mentally also, and also the facility wise, we can call the students back, and we should promote and develop the new context of the teaching. It is not should be like academics alone. It should be like this pandemic can occur again. It can be another form, and the disaster may happen again in another form. So we have to make everyone like taught about the right way of approaching these things. Lockdown is a period very good. It has taught it many things, but unlock is a period when we have to be more careful. In fact, there's a more carefulness is required right now.
Thank you, Professor Kuldeep. As Vivekananda has said that one should be always in a state of awakened mind. I think, Professor Kuldeep, this is what you mean to say, that be awakened, be conscious for yourself and the people surround, which are nearby you. And by taking necessary steps and measures, it is possible to adopt and cope up with the new way of living. And I'll request you to please provide SOPs for all academic institutions. You may please get it uploaded on your website, as well as can be shared to government and through government, all academic institutions. It will be a great help from you, as well as thank you for sharing for valuable problem statements. Right now, you have suggested a food supply system and identification of patient. That itself is a big problem, because where we are more than 100 crore people are there, right? So it is not easy for everyone to go to the hospital and get themselves identified. Thank you. And I am sure Professor Mathur is taking these notes for new problem statements for his incubation center.
You caught
coming
me.
to
I was exactly doing the same.
coming to Surendraji, you being a corporate man and corporate legal advisor, Honorable Prime Minister has stressed much upon localization, right? So what is the importance and urgency to go for localization?
Yeah, thanks, Puneet. So first of all, we need to understand that in this pandemic situation, only two things are helping us. One is local and second is digital, right? So for us to really survive in this time, certainly local has become significant. And if we go back and just see how the world is shaping in last couple of months, especially, and even I would say that even before that also, the way we seen, US, China, trade war, etc. So we are in a very unprecedented time, and that time has really forced many countries to, change the way, business has to happen. So that has really led to the thinking of globalization to localization. And the factors are like complete disruption of the supply chain, a lot of change in the international trade norms, government priorities, and even data localization issues are also making significantly in terms of the IT business or digitalization efforts of various institutions. And on account of national security or significant national paramount issues, and not the least the impact on the economies globally, the local jobs, so and so forth, has really turned the complete situation from globalization to country specific. And needless to mention that the whole world is going to be more distrustful, basically, because that's what the scenario. And if we just look at the last few months, Government of India initiatives also, which is Atmanirbhar Bharat, Vocal for Local, and so much emphasis by every union minister on the SMEs, right? And if I go back slightly earlier, then there are many initiatives like Make in India, manufacturing hub, under which the corporate taxation system was also rationalized to promote the manufacturing incentives in India. And needless to mention the smart startup system and skill development initiatives of the Government of India and smart cities. So there are handful of the activities which government want to do, touch upon each aspect of economy. So just to make sure that we ultimately become Atmanirbhar. That's what, and that is where the local comes into. Correct. And it is not happening in India. It is happening globally. China is anyway more towards localization since many decades. US has also shown a lot of reluctant on the opening of many things, and the kind of trade deals he's doing. That's also trying to protect the local economy as a whole. But having said so, whatever we say that localization is good, etc., but ultimately we have to understand that like customer will buy what is giving the value and what is giving the quality, what is giving the price competitiveness, etc. So we have to really see that if we really want to achieve this bigger goal, we have to make sure that we not only produce, but we have to continuously innovate. We have to continuously spend on the R&D system. Good thing is that as far as the pharma and the IT sector is concerned, a lot of seriousness has already brought into in last couple of years, and that's where we see that India placed in the overall global innovation index also has really gone up significantly. But definitely industry has to really see that if they have to survive at a long time, they have to create the digital assets, they have to create the intellectual properties. If they keep trying to create the physical assets and not the goodwill, not the intellectual property, then their survival in the long term is very difficult, because something will come and disrupt the whole business. So the business has to be very agile in this time. And companies used to have the chief people officer, chief marketing officer. Likewise, there is urgency to have the chief let's say innovation officer or the chief intellectual property manager kind of thing, because if you really see the businesses which has grown in last few years, like Facebook becoming $1 trillion company, the whole Uber, if you look at the Uber balance sheet, you will not find any asset in the balance sheet. What Uber has just a brand and what the technology they have developed. So and on that technology they are continuously creating the artificial intelligence, just to see that how I can be more, before customer asks something, I should be ready to provide that. That's what is the thought process of many institutions globally. Like they just understanding the pulse of the market, they understanding the customer behavior, they understanding the customer requirement, and just trying to meet that, to continuously create the value which they can bring to the customer to survive. And so if we talk about the Atmanirbhar Bharat, localization, etc., all the initiatives by government, absolutely good, but obviously at every level the industry also need to in whatever manner, I am not saying, because the SME will have the limitation in terms of the spending on the innovation, R&D, so and so forth, but at least if they try to create some enabling environment between the employees of that company, or as a DNA of that company, that technology is paramount, they have to understand, they have to little more engage with the customer. And good example is that, like, if India is such a vast country, and I'm sure every district will have some certain specialty, maybe in terms of food or in terms of any business. If we are able to get the, let's say, GI tagging is very much part of the intellectual property protection. If I take the example of Bikaner, they got GI tagging for the namkeen, like bhujia, especially because that's where the origin. So now globally they can represent that this is the intellectual property based on certain very important criteria which they got, which that is where their product get differentiated with the other products in the market. So that's the value they are able to explain to the customer.
Thank you, Surenji. I'll come back to you. Yeah. And thank you for sharing that. I mean, being global is not India's need. I mean, this is worldwide happening, as well as when a country which is, having so much of population, so lot many problems are there, lot many solutions are needed. Business lies where the crowd is. So we are the crowd, so business is here. We need to be vigilant, we need to be much observant. आसपास के माहौल को गौर से देखिए, बहुत कुछ घट रहा है, प्रॉब्लम्स को समझिए. और जैसा अभी सुरेंद्र जी ने कहा था, ओला, and they are not having their own product. they just they were able to find out the gap between the services or the need of people, and they just connected those solutions through by using technological platform. Might be few lakh rupees are the investment and a strategy, and rest is a history. So I mean, this is how in a smart or innovative way one has to start thinking, and especially when SMEs are having limitations for design, so that their product are value based, quality based, or low price based. So that's what where role of academic institutions become important to support them in terms of all these aspects. Coming to Chintanji, you are a man of startup Oasis, right? So in what way in the coming time we can navigate the whole ecosystem for innovation, incubation, and startups, which can lead to be vocal for local?
Thank you, Puneetji. So that's a fairly broad question. I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. So I think you know. So what Jyotirmay also talked about, that one of the roles of the various incubation centers or government or other ecosystem players, whether these are angel investors, etc., also should be to essentially help startups and aspiring entrepreneurs uh, figure out what could be areas that they should pivot or they should be looking at more, right? I mean, in some cases, it will be a pivot, which means that maybe the startup is doing something uh, which doesn't have too much demand for currently because of the disruptions which have happened. But with a quick pivot or a quick shift, they can go into something which has more need. So a very simplistic example is that, let's say if there's a organization which is making high-end garments, right? So maybe people may not want to buy that immediately. Right now, it's not top of the mind. But if you could have better quality masks, maybe even well-crafted masks, well-designed masks, sorry, so those kind of things, like giving a very simplistic example. I think, we are already seeing a lot of collaboration happening because of the digital transformation which is happening across industries, and the startup ecosystem is not any different. So I think the other thing which has happened is the geographies and boundaries to a certain extent have gone down, right? So most incubators, most startup ecosystem players now have the ability to go beyond the limited geographies, right? We would typically look at either our center or maybe a city because we want startups to physically come in and there's a lot of physical interaction, etc. Now that is not happening. So while there may be some disadvantages in terms of the quality of engagement, which can be taken care of through technology, maybe not 100%, but to a large extent, but it also opens up opportunities. So therefore, an incubation center which is in Jaipur can technically service the whole of the state, or for that matter, whole of the country, right? I mean, it's of course a call that everyone has to take because you can't spread yourselves too thin. But, for example, one can now even try and start identifying, so the entire vocal for local thing. So let's say there are some students in a place like Dausa or Sikar who have agricultural land, and they are wanting to do a startup. It's not necessary that now you need to come to Jaipur to get mentoring, etc. You can be based there, and maybe you can actually develop a business from scratch, which is more meaningful, right? Rather than coming to Jaipur and doing something which may or may not fly, but there may be a significant demand for someone which is providing, let's say, healthy fruits and vegetables which are grown in a certain way directly to customers or whatever, to bigger institutions, etc. So I think there are a lot of opportunities which can open up in this scenario. Digital being there, and as someone mentioned that these are the two things which are happening. One is the localization, second is the digitization. So if we kind of combine these two together, the roots of entrepreneurship should now spread far and wide, right? I mean, we should perhaps, right now, most of the incubation centers are focused in Jaipur. I mean, there will be a few in Jodhpur and Udaipur also. I'm talking about Rajasthan. But Jaipur perhaps has, I think, almost 10 or 11 incubation centers, including private, public, private, and government centers. I mean, last I counted. So maybe we should be looking at going beyond our geographical entities, going beyond some of the conventional areas. I mean, the program that Dr. Monica was talking about, where they are trying to train us aspiring entrepreneurs and some students on how to become an entrepreneur. That should be actually, I mean, it's a good start, but technically, a lot of the incubation centers should be doing it at scale. Right? We should be doing it across Rajasthan. We should be doing it, at scale, which means that many more people are coming in. They are getting aware what they need to do. Maybe they don't need to move out, right? So if you are based in Bikaner, or if you're based in wherever, there will be some very interesting business models which can be created there using a combination of localization and digitization. Yeah, I think that's a fairly...
Yeah, thank you, Chintanji. I mean, for your valuable advice. I mean, problems are nearby, solutions are nearby. And for handholding, many such centers are already available. There is a need to just come out from your fear and just go and have a friendly visit. And many friendly people like Professor Mathur, Chintanji, many people are sitting there to help you out for handholding and to get you connected to the relevant people in whatever way the problems you might be having. So, bahar nikaliye, क्लास से बाहर निकलिए, किताबों से बाहर निकलिए. जस्ट जैसे मॉल में जाने की एक आदत होती है, पार्क में जाने की आदत होती है, इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर्स में, इनोवेशन सेंटर्स में जाने की आदत डालिए. See what your colleagues or friends are doing, and not necessarily कि your grades will help you to make you better, to do better in your life. It is something else as well. Now coming to Paresh. You have been promoting many entrepreneurial activities since long. So in this challenging time, in what way entrepreneurial training or training activities can be conducted? Over to Paresh. In what way we can conduct entrepreneurial activities or training activities? You need to unmute.
Sorry, so very interesting times going on, and good morning to everyone. I'm pleased and honored to be here talking about it. So we have to understand some statistics here. The most important statistics to understand here is that 90% businesses or startups are having a trouble today, right? I think that's the biggest statistics. And 30% of the startups or businesses are running out of cash flows beyond a month. So they're on the verge of collapse. So lot of businesses, and this is like real information, real data, where we are seeing this happening. A lot of business. I can give you innumerable examples of businesses and startups in the city or in the country who are going through a very tough time. A simple example is, let's say, a printing, bedsheet printing business. Now imagine this guy was printing these bed sheets and selling it on a particular street in Jaipur, and suddenly you realize, travel and tourism is not happening, people are not coming, so there is no shopping happening. So we thought the impact is only travel and tourism, but the end result is probably a printing bed sheet printing business is also impacted. So I think the first thing which everybody has to accept is that this year is for life, and that's most important first. So you have to first accept this is the new norm. This is where life is, and it's okay to, have some tough times. So most people are grappling with this whole thought that, times are not good and we're struggling, going through this, blah, blah, blah. I think it's life, more than work and life. I think it's first life. So, all businesses, all startups should start thinking about, yes, this is the new normal. This is exactly where life is going to be. And we should accept this part. Then the point is that, I think it's a great opportunity for businesses to understand that only when there are troubles, you have reasons to reinvent, right? So that is the most important part. If there is nothing great happening, if there is no problem, everything is so cool and hunky-dory, then what's the reason of doing a startup at all? What startup by definition is, a problem solver. To understand there is a problem, this is the biggest problem. I think, are you not happy that there are so many problems around you? And that's the opportunity around it. There are problems and there are so many problems to solve. start solving those problems, reinvent yourself. So, and I think lot of these examples have already come up in the discussion, but people, so it's more about mindset. The training has to now come to the point that, oh, let's start identifying each of these opportunities. I'll give you a very simple example. Now, I also, have one startup in my college which was making pastas. So they had a pasta making machine, and they were just delivering these pasta packets to, restaurants and houses and others. His business has multiplied by 4x in COVID times because people have started making more pastas at home. So suddenly the sale has jumped, and that is what he was excited. He's like, no, my business is so crazily growing. I'm so happy about it. So there are all these opportunities lying around. There is a t-shirt manufacturer which moved to mass manufacturing. I can give you 10,000 examples of how people have reinvented their business. So this is what we have so many startups at MIIC itself where, we have noticed the transition, and transition from something so simple to something, to solving a COVID problem. So they were doing something else, now they're doing something else, and they've reinvented. So this is what you have to start doing. Number 3 for every startup is to start reading about policies. I always feel that, startups don't read policies. The training has to be about policies. Training has to be about what is the opportunity. So I can tell you, you pick out 20 people and in a random group, and you ask them, okay, do you know all the incentives in Make in India? They will say probably not. They would know the MSME policy which has been released or the incentives which have come out. People would not even know about it. And that is so important. How do you take advantage? I mean, how do you know that there is an incubation center? I know so many people who don't even know that incubation centers exist, and whom to go to, who's specializing in which incubation center. You have to read it, so that is a very, very important training aspect, which people have to understand, that this can be trained, this can be imparted. And you'll be surprised, but the policies are amazing. Some of the policies which I can really tell you about is, let's say, for example, NIAM is offering an agriculture grant for 5 lakh rupees, with half the people don't even know, and they were like, oh, we are struggling to get good applications. I'm like, oh, people don't even know about this. If people were knowing it, they would apply like crazy. So this part has to happen. And the last part is the networking part. Again, this is something which nobody is training and teaching people, and this has become even more difficult. So some bit it has become easier, some bit it has become difficult. Business is all about networks. Business is about meeting people, and the meetings, at least physically, are gone. But the online opportunities have increased, and it is so amazing that now you can connect with people anywhere in the world through these webinars and conferences which are going on, that anybody can log into any conference really, and they're so open and free. 90% of them are free going on, and you can just go around and reach out to people, which was never so easy. I mean, I have not seen a time before this where things were so easy to reach. People are not reachable earlier. People would be busy with this thing, that thing, that thing. Today, people are available. They're ready to answer those questions, and across the globe, they're ready. So this is the time to network, and that is to be taught again. I would genuinely say that people have to learn, understand the networking part, and these are very, very important aspects which I think have to be taken care of. So this is my clear thoughts and views for businesses.
Thank you, Paresh, for quoting it in a proper manner. Kar lo duniya muthi mein. So word is on your palm. So you can get connected to people so easily. You can get training so easily through webinars, as well as policies which are clearly and categorically available on websites of various departments. You can easily get connected to incubation centers, and many training materials already available on the websites and net. So the only thing which is required, just आपको खुद को जगाना है, वो कोई और नहीं जगाएगा, वो आपको अपनी चिंता खुद ही करनी पड़ेगी. Now coming to Professor Kuldeep, habits are most important part when it comes to longevity, to face any tough situation. In what way, what kind of changes we should inculcate in our habits or way we live, so that all safety measures can also be addressed. If you are allowing yourself to take care of yourself properly, so it means you are reducing one burden on the nation. So over to Professor Kuldeep.
This is very lively discussion happening, and actually, in fact, AIIMS Jodhpur has taken a lot of initiative in the like startups, and also from the healthcare point of view, we have innovation center. IIT Jodhpur is here, so we have a strong collaboration with on many aspects, especially in the biomedical devices and the healthcare. So recently we have launched a Abhidya, which was the equipment which is used during the serious patient management in the OTs or in the ICUs. So this has been launched with the help of like industry people. So we have two industries also in Jodhpur. They are helping us in devising the personal protective equipments, as well as some other equipments which are helpful for the doctors and for the protection of the patient. One thing we have to understand is that COVID is a medical problem. And that's why it is a high time that we should pose faith in the doctors. And what I think that the MBS doctor are the most important thing. We should not go for the specialist in the first instance. We should go for the MBS doctors. MBS doctors have time on their side. They talk less and they listen to the patient more, and they are able to connect with the seniors, also take consultation with the seniors, and also when required they can connect to the specialist also. So in that way the patient's time can be saved. So I think we have to repose faith in the doctors, especially the MBS and the junior most, those who are passing out, and take their help. And regarding the like life is going to be like this, vaccine is nowhere in the near future. It will take another 1.5 to 2 years for the vaccine, because the vaccines takes a lot of time on the trials in the humans. It is not the one time that we test in the test that it is efficacious or not. We have to think about the complications, long-term complication also. Sometimes the vaccine is launched and then this poses a problem of demyelinating disease or causing some other problems or cancer or some other disease. So that's why the doctors have to be very careful when they are considering any vaccine. So as a pediatrician, we are expert in the vaccination process. We know that there are many vaccines like polio vaccine, rotavirus vaccine, which have been withheld after launch. Similarly, flu vaccine, which is not effective, it has to be administered every year. So there are a few things we have to understand. So that's why there is a close dialogue with the doctor is very important. And the most important thing is that the time has come, as Dr. Paresh, Surendra, Chintan, and you have already elaborated, that it is an opportunity to grab our healthy habits. We have to go into the behavioral insight theory, that is the behavioral economic theory of nudging the people toward the habits. And we have to consult more for the screening programs. Like suppose whatever we are seeing, the complications are most common in those who are having a diabetes or hypertension. Now, these two conditions are never diagnosed on the face value. Only when you test, then you get that know that you are suffering from hypertension or you are suffering from diabetes. And most of these complications have happened in the undiagnosed diabetes mellitus, first time coming to the hospital. And the sugar was found to be 600 or 700. Similarly, hypertension. So this is a time that we have to look into our daily life, exercise, and going for the health checkups. At least once a year is okay for the young generation. For more people who are more than 50, every 2 monthly or 3 monthly they should get checked. And also a lot of problems are related to the like use of this media. Now we have telemedicine. Now telemedicine at AIMS Jodhpur, we are having a very good telemedicine connection with the patient, and this is used as a forward triage. That is the basic condition of the patient is heard through the telemedicine, and then they are asked to come to the visit to the physical OPD so that it can prevent the infections. But what we are coming to know about from these patients are a lot of psychological stress because of the use of gadgets, use of screen time, screw of media. You are available every time. Your privacy is lost, and also there are a lot of issues with the like loss of jobs and other things. So mental health is a very important thing. And mental health means that you have to be more socializing, more talking to the people in the families or your close relatives and friends. This is very important. So talking to your friends, your concerns, your problems will ease out your mental tension. There are a lot of suicides which are happening everywhere in India and abroad. So I think we have to become more aware, and we have to take our preventive actions. As far as the prevention is concerned, the most important thing is if you don't touch your eyes, nose, and mouth with your hand, you are totally safe. But that is the thing which is very difficult to imbibe. Anytime you are touching your face many times. When I am wearing the mask, most of the time I am touching the front face. you are getting the infection again. So your whole of the effort of wearing a mask is lost. So unless until you practice the guidelines for the personal hygiene, washing hands as frequently as possible, keeping the sanitizer at least for 30 seconds, using soap and water more often than the sanitizer will reduce the contamination of the environment also. And we have to dispose these face masks also very importantly. It should be carefully disposed of, otherwise this can contaminate your colleagues and the family members. So whenever we have to take, and going out is very important, but again the precautions are now much more important. Taking the hand washing, wearing the face mask, keeping a distance. Now the current concern is that there is a airborne also. Airborne means that you have to wear the face mask for a very long time, continuously at least. Continuously you have to wear the face mask. Now face masks are of many types, so you have to understand that the right type of face mask should be used. It is a triple layered surgical face mask, and then we have that N95 mask, and then you have to use the gears in front of the eyes, eye protective gears also when you are dealing with a patient. So basically, if you are maintaining a safe distance, at least 2 meters, and you are not talking with a person for more than 15 minutes, you can prevent the infection. One important thing is that you have to think that every person is a COVID positive unless proved otherwise. So maintain a different distance with anybody who is even a nearby and you are not knowing. So see that, okay, this can be a positive person. So in that way, we can have coming back to our normal, or we can have the innovations which can apply it. A lot of opportunities during this time is that we have to think about, share about thoughts, ideas. So I think working during this time is a great opportunity and also challenges. But the positive thing is that it is always positive. If it is COVID is positive, there are other side of the positivity also.
Thank you, Professor Kuldeep. I'm sure those who are listening to the program right now, they are taking the notes, as well as those who will be watching this program subsequently on the YouTube channel of MIC. They will also essentially take these notes and start practicing for self and for the nation as well. Now, coming to Mr. Surendra. In our earlier time, discussions, we have, the stress on SMEs was there. So in what way SMEs can do collaboration with academic institutions to improve their to improve the value of the product?
Correct. So this is very important question, and in fact, I would say that time will be less to speak on this point. Having said so, see, there is an old saying that Lakshmi and Saraswati are not opposite, right? So if the industry and the institution, education institute, if they both come together, I don't think there will be anything which cannot be, let's say, implemented, right? So the collaboration of the industry and education institution, and it has proved a well in the India, because if you really look at the overall startup ecosystem which has developed over a last period of 5-6 years, look at IITs, IIMs, those kind of institutions, right? Because they have really played a pivot role in growing that kind of innovation. They have really empowered the students to innovate. They have provided that kind of level playing field, that kind of labs of innovation, you can say. And I would like to quote one example here, that the Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, the Facebook got originated when Mark Zuckerberg was in college, right? And we can just translate that how significant is the college. But I would even go down to the bottom level of the pyramid. In my view, every education institution should become a lab of innovation, lab of freedom of the people to really explore limitless, right? If we go back 5 years, nobody would have even thought that there can be a driverless car also, but somebody thought that, and we are really looking that the trial of the driverless car is happening, and it can be the reality very soon. So in my view, why can't the schools, why can't any education institutions can hold hundreds of patents, why only IITs or Harvard of these kind of institutions just have that kind of ecosystems where they are the owners of the certain patents along with the students, right? So if we are able to make that collaboration, why SME and the education institution can play a very important role, because the reach of SME to the nearby institution will be significantly good. And if, let's say, SME told to any education student that I need this kind of skill set, can you really, because ultimately what happened, if you get graduated or if you got any degree and you go outside the market, then you really see that what kind of skill I have, which I can really go and sit in the industry and start delivering that, right? Or industry really need to spend another 6 months to 1 year to really shape your skills to make you, to that level where you can start becoming productive for the industry. So this collaboration can really bridge, and you know that in case of SME, the talent is the biggest problem of the SME. If the SME are able to get the right talent, with these kind of collaborations, and then I think they may be highly competitive, and they can really do. And second point I would like to say, other than education institutions, social institution can also play a very significant role. And I really admire our Prime Minister and FM that they have, in the last budget, they allowed listing of the social institution. Because see, we have to see that social institution in India, why they are struggling, because they don't have the platform where they can raise the money. They're largely dependent on the charity and the, well-wishing of the few industrialists like that, right? If the social institution also get the platform where they can impanel bank for the mudra loan to the SMEs or those who really want to do the business, or even why can't the SME can hold a social institution can really list some of the intellectual property on the IP exchange, which they can monetize at a later stage kind of thing. So I think the start has not yet done, but at least some regulatory framework has started taking right shape. And I'm confident that these levers of education, social institutions, and the industry put together can make a lot of difference, and significantly improve the entire localization, or the protection, intellectual property protections, so and so forth.
Right. Thank you, Surenji. I think this is a vital information, and I'm sure in all possible manners you will be get associated to MIIC Jaipur, and your valuable tips will be always available for our students and all. Now coming to Chintanji, to you. As in the earlier question, Paresh, gave an insight about the existing situations of various startups. So your piece of advice for aspiring startups for today and tomorrow?
I think Paresh covered it very well and put a very nice framework. So I'll just kind of use that to add on a few more points, hoping that they'll be meaningful for these startups and students who are thinking of starting up. So a couple of points, additional points. So one is that, I think one interesting thing which students and aspiring startups should be looking at, and I'm assuming this is, of course, building on whatever Paresh mentioned, that now they have access to so many people, access to information, knowledge, a lot of things which would have otherwise required travel can be done digitally. So getting information about a particular industry or a gap that they have identified is much easier. And now we can even, maybe through LinkedIn or whatever, get in touch with people who are industry stalwarts, and sort of just connect with them, maybe attend a few webinars, etc. But I think the other angle which is very, very important is to try and look at how the consumer demand is changing, because that is also changing significantly and very fast, and a lot of it is not visible because it's something which kind of comes into play when products are there, right? So let's say if I say that I am creating a brand of shirts which are made in such a way that 100% of the production cost is in India, and 40% of the production cost goes into rural areas and whatever, so it's a distributed model, and it's environmentally sustaining. I think people have also become more environmentally conscious. I mean, a lot of these virus issues, these are all zoonotic viruses, as Dr. Putdeep would know, obviously. And there are direct or indirect environmental cause and effect behind it, right? Because of the I mean, I at least read it in the WHO website. So because of the reduction in the habitat of other wild animals, I mean, these viruses sort of jump. So it's going to increase in the future. There are going to be more. I mean, that's what is expected. So I think people are becoming environmentally conscious also. Right? So if we are able to now think on those terms and kind of maybe even project forward as to how people will be thinking about things which are of value. So maybe cost and low price at the risk of environmental degradation and empowering a lot of people in India is not going to fly anymore. I mean, it has, but maybe it may not. So that is one. I think a couple of other quick points. I know we are running short on time. Is there are a lot of, which is a similar point I mentioned earlier, that now incubators, CSRs, etc., which have funds for early stage startups to do prototyping, etc. Now they are not geographically limited. So startups should also not be geographically limit themselves. So if there's a startup in Jaipur, he can technically apply in an incubator in Chennai, which may have funds for the kind of thing that he's trying to do. I mean, it's quite possible that amongst the limited set of incubators in Jaipur, we may or may not have specific funds for that thing. So that's there. I think the other quick point I wanted to also mention is that the next 12 to 18 months, we are not going to see a whole lot of physical activity happening. So this is therefore, I think, a very interesting period for students who are thinking of starting up. They can utilize this period to, of course, earn some revenues. They can do some, what we call as bootstrapping, do some projects here and there, but also utilize this time to develop expertise in a couple of areas which they are exploring. So this is, I'm talking about for very early stage entrepreneurs who are even thinking of what to do, what not to do, on an ideation stage. So doing even ideation, validation, prototyping may be an issue, but I'm hoping that at some point of time there'll be enough of a network, etc., that it may become possible to do a lot of things digitally. Of course, 100% can't be digital, but a lot of the products may not be physical. They may be digital products, though that can be done. So I think this is a very good time to spend the next 6 to 12 months researching 2-3 ideas, validating them, creating something. All this can be done digitally. So therefore, I think these are the quick 2 or 3 points I wanted to mention. Angel investors are, of course, available. If you want to form teams, you can go on LinkedIn and figure out, okay, I have good marketing skills, but there is someone I need who's good in product development, design. You can quickly go figure out, maybe do a 2-3 month joint project and then see how it goes. So it opens up a lot of opportunities.
Right. Thank you, Chintanji. I'm sure people can approach you if you can share your communication handle so that those who are exploring may request you to share your.
Yeah, I'm just doing it.
Thank you. Now coming to Paresh, any startup, anyone who's gives a damn thought on exploring a journey of entrepreneurship or a startup, the very first thing comes in mind is not about the idea or the innovation or the solution. People start, paisa kahan se aayega? And that becomes, a limiting point. Even people stop thinking in this particular direction. So you are already into funding activities. In what way a new startup can get support in terms of money? You need to unmute.
I'm goofing this every time. So, yesterday only InShorts had raising about 2.4 crores from Let's Venture and others. And these funding reports and news is coming along. We have to be a little cautious and we have to be a little pragmatic about it. So let's try to see what is the funding scenario. So it's not that all is hunky dory. There are problems, and typically the HNI investors who are like the small time investors, their cash flows have dried down. So I mean, people are definitely looking in the cash conservation mode rather than the startup risk mode. So that is a typical thing which I am noticing, that there is some funding, and at the consolidation level, at the international level, yes, there is money flowing in, and at some institutional level, money is flowing in. But at the HNI level, at a smaller investor levels, people are conserving cash for start. I mean, so they're not okay to invest in startups. They're trying to figure out where to conserve their cash, where to protect that money. And that is one thing which is very prominent in this period. I have seen multiple startups struggling for cash right now. So yes, this is a problem which has to be addressed. But I'll tell you something else, which is another very interesting aspect, that it is not applicable to all sectors. So very ironically, there are certain sectors where the funding has increased, right? And typical thing is essential items, healthcare services, medical services, technology, robotics. People are raising money, and that money is being raised. So I would not say that all the money is being raised and in all sectors, but definitely money is being raised in certain sectors. That's part one. So the investors are available so if you are in any of the essentials or the healthcare or the technology services and futuristic sectors, then funding is available, and all these angel funds and venture funds are typically looking at this part. Second thing which has happened is, I think, I don't know, good, bad, ugly, but the valuations have gone down. So because of the valuations, there is investment happening. So I know enough investors. So there is almost a bloodbath in Delhi for certain startups which were not accessible or not available to investors because of high valuations, are now available at lower valuations. And investors know that, okay, it's a matter of 1 year, probably for some time things are bad, things will not remain this bad forever. So this is the time to invest. So if you can bring down your valuations. So there was this, I meet a lot of people who come and say, oh, I have a valuation of 2 crores. How? Nobody knows. That rationalization has happened, and that is a brilliant thing which has happened, that rationalization has brought down valuations, and because of which a lot of investors have become interested in investing. So yes, there are these HNI networks and groups. You can reach out to these groups. I can tell you there are cohorts of these groups available. Typically, if you look at good institutional investors, there are angel networks and incubation centers and all of these which will be able to connect. So I think everybody on the panel is probably connected to all such people. You can reach out to everyone and they'll be able to help out. But yes, valuations, people have to become pragmatic. Part one. Part two, definitely sector agnostic. It's no longer sector agnostic. Sector specializations have happened. There are more realistic investments now, which are more grounded investments, not very random ideas, but more grounded ideas. And lastly, the other funding which is available is government funding, right? And MSME policy, I mean, I do feel bad that there is nothing specifically defined for startups. And this is something which was kind of, hurting me, that, no specific startup related policy came out and said, oh, this for startups, but MSME and business related investments is there. And I can see that, for example, agri processing, right? There are a lot of agriculture startups which are being funded, and the money is available. So government policies are allowing this, not only directly but indirectly also. So people should start reading all of these policies, and they should be able to find out some investment opportunities. This is what I can say. So yes, it's not completely dry. People should not feel disheartened and say that nothing is available, but you have to be slightly more realistic about this and be more patient. Do your valuations. This is the time to prepare your pitch decks. This is the time to share it around. Do your Excel calculations. Be very firm about those numbers. Validate those business ideas, and be a little more patient if needed.
So now coming to the last quick question, Professor Mathur. Your piece of advice for startups, upcoming startups, what are the emerging areas? Everybody knows that AI and IoT, these are the technological areas, but otherwise also there are various sectors, especially in agriculture, like crop production, crop preservation. If you can throw some light on the emerging areas, especially for new or upcoming startups.
So Puneet, in two ways I would like to answer your question. One is directly advising on the sectors. I think Paresh did mention few of them, and you also rightly said that IoT and similar things are kind of easy to start with. And if you look at automation, there can be very simple automation product. For example, nowadays people are fearing touching the door handle for opening. So you may have a market for automated opening door kind of stuff, which is very simple. Okay. Right from that to robotics application in hospitals and hotels for serving guests and patients. So this wide spectrum is there, and so is there for healthcare products. Right from sanitizer, mask to ventilator, we have seen that there was a big shortage of all these products. But now, having faced this COVID related restrictions and repercussions for past 3-4 months, it's time for consolidating the developments and short-term developments that our startups would have had with them. Because as Paresh said, validation is important, and validation and then consolidate your market. Whatever market you've captured, you consolidate it and then grow that market size that you've already captured. So these are things, but yes, definitely healthcare will continue to offer more and more opportunities, right from medical sciences, application of medical sciences to automation. Automation of factories, automation of domestic applications is definitely going to offer things. Aggregators, service aggregators are going to find a very good playground for them because now people don't want to be wandering into the market, but they would like various things, various information, various offerings be coming to them while sitting at home. So if there can be an aggregator for clothes even, for example, my t-shirt is torn and I would like to buy a t-shirt, why would I like to go to 5 different shops and be exposed to COVID or any other infection? So this kind of opportunities are there. And so aggregators, whether they are agriculture aggregators or agro aggregators or any other thing, they would have a good opportunity. Digital services of various kinds are going to have a good opportunity, right from development of learning material, because nowadays nearly every the next semester in nearly every college is going to be online schools, and not everybody has that kind of digital learning material with them. So, and people really, schools and colleges don't like to copy a learning material from one college, brand it with them or and share with students. So they would like to have their own learning material developed. So the agencies for helping them develop their own learning material will be important. Virtual labs is going to be very important because now students are not going to labs. Virtual lab, we can help create virtual labs for learning. That is again going to be very good. Manufacturing is again another important sector. And if we have some automation, automated manufacturing units, whether it is simple 3D printing to FMS, complicated FMS stuff, all would have a good opportunity in this particular era. And that is what I would like to say in this question. Last tip or suggestion or recommendation, whatever you say, is read more and more, read as much as possible. That is the mistake most startups do. They neither read the policies, nor read the success or failure stories of previous startups, nor read even the newspapers well. So, I mean, it's good to be passionate about the product and the idea, but yes, it is important to be well aware and well read. And with this, I think I would conclude my remarks.
Thank you, Professor Mathur, for giving due emphasis on importance of reading. And I have read today 5 books because, you know, when you interact a wise person or an experienced person, it is equal to as good as reading 1 book. You know, so many ideas have poured in. It was, I'm sure, the way I am feeling enlightened by interacting so many people, 5 people at least. So similarly, our audiences must be having the same kind of feeling. So this is all for today. I extend my thanks to all our eminent panelists. To begin with, Professor Kuldeep, once again, thank you and your all medical team for being with everyone whosoever is in need. Similarly, the way we are in need of you through this webinar session, Chintanji, Pareshji and Surendraji for being with us. I mean, on a short notice yesterday only, you accepted our request. And lastly, Professor Jyotirmay Mathur, the way MIIC is contributing, it is phenomenal. I mean, there is no exaggeration. I mean, by admitting and announcing that this is really important for whole society, you know, coming out with solutions which are helpful for COVID-related problems. And I'm sure in the same way, the whole MIIC team will keep continuing the whole society, serving the society. And this is all for today. And looking forward for a problem statement list from Kuldeep ji. MIIC will be happy to get associated and provide solutions for AIIMS Jodhpur. I'm reading from Jyotirmay Mathur sir's mind. This is what he wants to suggest. So this is all for today, and stay with us. We'll be having 3 presentations which are outcome of MIIC. And thank you all eminent panelists. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have another session to
Thanks a
follow
lot.
now.
Thank you, Puneet. Thank you, eminent panelists, on behalf of MIIC. Puneet, today we are going to have two presentations.
Okay.
So taking this forward of the agenda, real life challenge in the post-COVID 2019 phase, we are going to have presentations of two of our incubatees. The first incubitee, I'll just show you. This is the mask. You must be thinking, why the hell I have put this thing on. The first presentation is of Mr. Akash. He has recently developed and launched a transparent reusable economical mask. And this is the mask, as you people can see, everybody can see. He is the founder of AHA 3D Innovations and AHA Healthcare. He is a Bachelor of Engineering 2002 MREC batch, and he's a gold medalist in electronics. He has been leading one of the India's first 3D printers and R&D company since 2010. And he's he has got a long list of achievements. Some of them are, he is India's largest 3D printer, the 1,000 cubic feet pellet fed concrete 3D printer he has developed. He has helped Sira Sanitary Ware to read, which is organization dealing with sanitary ware, old practice with 3D printing with India's first 1 cubic meter 3D printer. The Proto Center 1 meter, 2015 he developed that. Then India's first dual extruder industrial 3D printer, the Proto Center 999. India's first indigenous 3D printer, the Reality 3D, in 2012 we developed that. Welcome Akash, and we'll be giving you 30 minutes to give your presentation and how the product that you have developed is helping us in fighting this pandemic of corona. What is your contribution to counter the pandemic to the COVID 2019? So it's all yours.
Akash, just one request before you start. Akash, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
I would appreciate if you can also share the struggle that you had for developing this product, including the failures, intermediate failures that you had. And that will be kind of good learning.
Of course. I'll do that, sir. Thanks to Monica ma'am and MIIC Jyotirmay sir for giving me this platform to present this work. And it's a pleasure to be in the company of the stalwarts of North Indian startup ecosystem. So Paresh is here, Chintan was here a while ago, and of course the people from MIIC. Basically it all started from the onset of the coronavirus pandemic. So of course we were peacefully developing selling our 3D printers, and it was going on all along the regular track. But then suddenly it all stopped, and last week of March, our company, just like everybody else, was forced into lockdown. And then it took a while, something like 7 to 10 days, for the realization to sink in that this is going to be the new normal, and something needs to be done about it. So yes, I was doing meditation and yoga, and in the confines of home for a couple of weeks. But then for any entrepreneur, it becomes a sort of a curse if you are asked to sit quietly and just do nothing. So just like most of my friends, I did a small fundraiser and tried to do something about the coronavirus situation in Jaipur. So the friends empowered me by donations, and then we started giving out. So we started a campaign where we were giving out face shields to the frontline workers of Jaipur who are protecting us. By the way, is the screen visible? Can you see the screen? Hello?
Yes, Akash, we can see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
screen is visible, right? Okay, excellent.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. So yes, we started a fundraiser on Keto, and we were giving away face shields to the frontline fighters, to the doctors and the police personnel. So this photo that you see on screen is near the Ramganj area, which was the worst affected during those days. So it went on for maybe 1 to 2 weeks, but then parallelly the realization happened that what is really short is N95 masks. What the people really need is N95 masks, and specifically the specifications of the 3M masks. They were utterly in short supply, and uh, people like common people like us were discouraged from buying 3M masks because the people who really need it can get their hands on. So it was very clear that a very good protective mask has to be there. Sooner or later, it needs to be accessible to everybody, right? And even at crazy costs, like something like the 3M8210 has, I've seen it selling for say 650 rupees or something, and even then it was not available if even if you want to pay that cost. So yeah, the mask came out to be a very clear key component that was going to be a necessity in the new norm. And then one more observation was there that a lot of junk masks were starting to flood the market. So masks were having these valves like this, and they were empty from inside. Like surprisingly, I've seen the masks which were selling again for whatever 300, 400 rupees, but it is basically a valve which is supposed to stop the air from entering inside the mask. Here is that valve, and it was missing. Only this body was there inside the mask, and people were, just for the look, they would.
Akash,
Yes, yes, please.
Akash, sorry for interrupting. Because you are showing and not using the slide, I would suggest stop sharing the screen so that people can see the demonstration in larger view.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. It's fine. Then I'll just continue with the slides for a bit, and then I'll stop sharing this the screen. Okay. Yeah. So I'll just quickly, brief about the problems that triggered us to work on this mask. So anything was going in the market at that point of time, and then I've even seen masks with N95 printed on them, and there was no melt-blown filter inside. People on top of that, like people who would actually buy costly masks would keep using them for months together or even wash them and all, but then that was really not the way N95 masks are supposed to be used. They actually lose their effectiveness. So there were a lot of gaps between the way it should be and the way it was happening. So we came up with this mask that we have named the ACE mask. So for a bit, I'll just walk you through the product itself. Uh, so this is the product that came out of the lockdown period at our office. So this is basically the product, right? It includes this particular mask, which fundamentally is a reusable mask. It solves a lot of the problems that we observed, and I just briefed you about. Jyotirmay sir, is the screen visible now? Is it okay?
Yes, yes.
Yes, excellent. So the first thing that you notice is that it is transparent. So you would have noticed in the newspapers and all, like even the perpetrators of crime, their photographs in the newspaper were coming with the cloth masks, and you would only see the eyes of the criminal. So obviously this is going to be a problem down the line. So visibility of the person behind the mask is of utmost importance. So this mask addresses that problem to begin with. Then it brings down the cost of reuse by a huge factor, more than 10, like less than 1/10 of the cost. Like the running cost of the N95 category filtration is achieved by using the filter concept. So basically, this is the replaceable filter. You are supposed to use this for 4 to 5 days if you're using it 8 hours per day, and you need to discard it. That is the most important thing because it includes the melt-blown filter layer inside. Um, every mask that is claiming that you can wash an N95 mask and reuse are basically lying. I mean, I'm comfortable giving this statement. They're basically lying. I'm going to share a study done by University of Cincinnati. Only 2 days back, it has come out that it is not possible to resanitize N95 masks made of melt-blown filters. Right. So in this case, you basically so this only uses 1/6 of the surface area of the full. If you make it a full mask out of it, it uses only 1/6 of the surface area, and that is the reason we are able to bring down the cost. And this is basically costing only 17 rupees and giving you the protection equivalent to N95. It has got the exact same composition made of 5-ply filters. It is Citra certified, which is like endorsed by ICMR. Citra is endorsed to give away certifications for PPE equipment. And also we have acquired CE certification for this product. So yes, this is like we have done quite a bit of homework before coming here. And then we are given two exhalation valves because if we really want to keep it for a long duration, it needs to be easy to breathe. So as opposed to only one valve, which is common, which is the status quo of the day, it includes 2 valves, right? And then of course it is flexible. It is basically made of oxygen mask material, and it is the same material that is used in saline tubes and the tubes that go into the body. So yes, this is 100% medically safe, and yeah. Then we have done a lot of iterations on the profile of the mask. This contour is designed to actually fit very snugly with the face of the user. So there are basically 2 ways to use it. You can either hang in on your ears like that, so like that, or you can actually put it across the back of your head like that, right? So in both the cases, the mask sits very snugly around the face of the user, and actually there is no entry of air through the seam. And in the Desi mode, we have actually tested it out. I have literally put the mask on like that and taken a bath, and there is like this entire area totally remains totally dry. So yes. So this is very briefly about the product, and inside the box, we have included 10 spare filter cartridges. So this box contains 10 spare cartridges, which is good to last approximately 2 months if you are using it 8 hours per day, right? And of course, it carries the information booklet and the certifications that the product has got. And then there is a nifty little thing that we did. When the people were using it for outdoor use, they were experiencing the sweating problem around the place where the edge touches. Of course, for OPD and for medical purposes, this seam is not really recommended, because then it doesn't seal against the face as nicely as it does without the seam. But yes, otherwise this is a very, very useful addition to the mask, and we are really getting good response. It is fundamentally a cotton lycra, basically cotton lycra seam around the mask, and when you use it, it basically gives a very comfortable feeling, and you can really use it for long durations, and you can be comfortable about the level of protection that you're getting with the mask. So that is the brief about the product. Of course, apologies if I sounded like a marketing person, but everybody who blesses startups here will endorse that marketing is actually a necessary part of the game. So yes, now I'll put the technology hat on, and I'll come to the point that Jyotirmay sir just asked me to cover. So basically, this is what we have been doing. This slide actually summarizes. Okay, sorry, I forgot to share the screen. Yeah. So I hope the screen is visible.
Yeah, it is visible. Go ahead.
Great. So this is essentially what we have been doing over the last 3 months. In fact, it will look like something out of a textbook, but this is actually what has played out. So the product, it begins with a concept. You design it, you prototype it, and you try it out, and you iterate till the product is up to a very reasonably satisfactory mark. Then you go for the certifications of the products, and parallelly you go for the IPR, you go for the patents, and you do the design registrations, trademarking, all of that. And then once the certifications and things are in place, you go for mass manufacturing. And when you manufacture anything, you need to address the logistics, how it is going to ship out, how people will access it. And then you need to market so that people know about it, people listen about it. And then you have a positive cash flow company, right? So basically it all started with a small prototyping session that we did using 3D printing, because of course AHA 3D is like we manufacture 3D printers. So Kent Medicine in the US, they were doing this kind of 3D printed masks. They called it the pseudo N95 mask, but they were like, it was a community 3D printing going on, where everybody would come together with their 3D printers and print these masks out for the healthcare workers. So we printed a few of these masks at our office, and we handed it out to the healthcare workers. And it so happened that they received really good response. That people really wanted to know that, how can we get more and all that. And of course, there were a lot of shortcomings in these masks. Fundamental shortcoming was since it is 3D printed, normally we use PLA or ABS, and both of them are very hard materials. And when you use these masks, they don't really conform to the contour of the user's face. So there is no effective sealing. The air sealing does not happen. But anyway, this was a good proof of concept. So we moved on. We made a mask out of silicone. So we essentially 3D printed the mold and poured liquid silicone in it and prototyped the mask to see if it really works. So we simulated the end product and we realized that, yeah, it will work. It was conforming to the face pretty nicely, and it was giving that kind of comfort. So we iterated over the design a couple times, and then we successfully closed on these design dimensions, the targets. So the location of the belt knuckles over here, like these locations were finalized. The profile of the mask, that is the contour which touches the face, we were able to close down upon that, and we ensured that the concept of the filter going into the mask and sealing the airflow and allowing the airflow only through the fabric of the filter. This concept was also proven practically through this prototyping. And then one critical feedback came that we realized it is opaque and this could be improved. And secondly, we could not judge the overall wall thickness of the mask because the material was different. The final material and this trial material were not the same. So yeah. But the immediate next iteration was we went into making of an injection mold for the mask, right? And then this photograph that you see on your screen is the first injection molded product. Although at that point of time, we imagined that we have reached the end of the tunnel and we have a working product in our hand. But unfortunately, there were critical feedbacks in this mask as well. Although we could successfully achieve the transparency and the material was flexible, it was comfortable, and the filter design and fitment was also okay. And also the mask was airtight against the face. But the biggest problem in this, the first iteration of the mask was it was heavy. It weighed. Hello, am I audible?
Bolo, continue.
Yeah, so it was heavy basically. At 100 grams, it was not really comfortable to put on your face and work for 8 hours. And secondly, it was somewhat smelly. We could not, really find out the right material for this kind of mask at that point of time. And one more very, uncomfortable thing about the mask was there was a bit of pinching on the nose. On the bridge of the nose where it touches your face, there was a rim. There was a rim which you see over here. if you can see the cursor on the screen, around here, it was hurting the nose. And then the transparency was not great, and there was resistance to breathing. So of course, breathing is influenced by the kind of filter we use. If we are using an N95 equivalent filter, you need to actually put some effort to pull the air in. So it is there. But if you use something like a 3-ply equivalent, then it is pretty comfortable. But anyway, this mask was exhibiting resistance to breathing. So we had to go for one more iteration of the mold. The thing that you see on your screen is the second iteration of the mold from which the current product is being produced. People who are familiar with mechanical engineering will tell you that this step increased the launch time by 1 month. We had to delay the entire thing by 1 month. And you would imagine that in such a big pressure where you have to give out the product tomorrow, you have to add 1 month to the delay. And of course, you're burning cash and all sorts of real life problems are still going on. But then we took the plunge because we wanted it to be first time perfect. If there is a problem that we know it is there, we didn't want to tell the customer the same thing to us. So we decided to do the entire iteration again. And this is the final product that came out. So we could successfully close down upon practically all the points. It is the perfect weight. It only weighs 40 grams. For a comparison, the cloth mask, the standard tells you that it should weigh 15 gram, 1.5. So against a 15-gram cloth mask, if you are getting a reusable mask of 40 grams, you would appreciate that it is quite a reasonable thing to achieve. Then it could achieve perfect transparency and easy breathability, empowered by the two valves that we could put on the design. And then we also increased upon the filter size. Although practically, I mean, through gut feeling, we may think that if the filter surface area is less, it might be difficult to breathe in. But now the product is out there, we are mass producing it. We want to humbly invite you to try out the product and see for yourself. It is actually, we are getting a better response than people who are using N95 masks, traditional N95 masks, and they use this product, they give better feedback than the former.
Akash, there is one suggestion that is coming from Dr. Yes, Kuldeep in this regard. Yes, he has written in the chat box also that when people are using or while working, when people are using it, you can check SpO2 if you have not done so far, because SpO2 is an indicator of how effective breathing is while people are using this mask. So that is a good.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Dr. Kuldeep, for the input. And we have sent a sample set of these masks to DRDO, and they are performing the breathability test at the moment. It is going to take another 7 days probably, and we should have the samples with us, the test reports with us. So then we were also facing a couple of critical feedback that it was when people used it in outdoor conditions. Of course, we did not envisage this to be used when we first developed it. It was the healthcare workers which were on our mind, on our target key customers list. But then people actually started using it outdoors, and they came back with the feedback that it is sweating when in Rajasthan's temperatures in May and all. So we actually added the sweatband that I showed you a while ago, and then we could address the problem. Then the second problem that came up, it is actually not a problem, it is an aesthetic input, that when you exhale, naturally the exhaled air is heavy in water vapor, so it deposits on the inside surface of the mask. So we have developed a workaround to help with that. There is a handy coating that we have developed, which we can put on the inside surface, and it is similar to our car's anti-fogging arrangement that we put in the inside of the windshield, and then the fogging goes away. So it is a similar solution, and now this thing is also addressed in the product. This is the fourth iteration, and I'm happy to share the photograph of this gentleman with you. He's Mr. Kailash, and He is the person who was standing by our side through the entire lockdown duration and working on all the hardware and all the iterations that we were asking him to. Of course, like there were a very few people who were standing, but all of them have become very good friends because of the obvious reasons. So yes, this is where we are standing right now. We have added a cotton sweet band. We've also added the aluminum nose clip on the bridge of the mask because although we have put the nose profile into the mold itself, so it is fitting 80% of the face profiles. But in rare cases where there is the air is escaping from the sides of the nose, the aluminum nose clip is there now. So now we have addressed sweating, we have addressed fogging, and then we have, I'm happy to share, these masks are being mass manufactured right now, and we are at a production capacity of 1,000 units per day. And this is a photograph from the workshop, the production facility. And this photograph, I'm happy to share, is the very first shipment that happened 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago it happened, and the people that you see here are the people who are bringing this to you. And more behind the scene developments have happened. There is actually way more than what meets the eye. So we have set up a specialized manufacturing unit for the filters, for the sweatbands. We have developed jigs and fixtures for the valves, and we have developed fixtures for validation, quality control of the products. We have done all sorts of marketing, the product validation, photography, developed the packaging. If in fact it's a 100% full-fledged product development. Only changes, all of this has happened with the handicap of lockdown. So lockdown has become a handicap as well as a blessing. So because we could peacefully work, there were no 3D printer manufacturing pressures on us. So it is like that. But all of this that has happened, I just wanted to share the entire story with you. Where vendors stabilization has happened because we are sitting in Jaipur. We found a vendor for the elastic. We went around a lot to finding the right kind of elastic for the masks, elastic band, and found the right elastic, the product, and the vendor committed to us that he'll be able to supply the same quality over and over. But only within the first 1,000 units, he ran out of his inventory and then simply said that I cannot do anything about it. So we had to, scurry around and figure things out on the go while making sure that the shipments don't get delayed. All of this, these practical problems that have happened. Supply chains has established now properly. Quality control methods, procedures, everything is stabilized. And I have to extend special thanks to a lot of people, the great staff at MIIC, the vendors who are sitting in Jaipur and outside, who cooperated, went out of their way to support. Like a lot of things have happened. I mean, too numerous. This is the final product of profiles, various kinds of face profiles and users. People are also able to use the masks with spectacles as well, and fogging problem does not happen, and all sorts of So I can safely say that it is a complete product. It is a complete product that has successfully happened during this time, and it has come out of the stable of MIIC. And well, this is it. We are looking forward to organizations who are willing to further the trials, work with us, and adopt the solution. We are also looking for distributors in various regions of India, and we need your help in reaching out to the right users. So with this, I close my talk and welcome the questions. Over to you. Thanks a lot. On the screen, you can see my phone number and email ID. You're most welcome to please contact me or one of the staff members at MIIC. Thanks a lot.
So, thank you, Akash. My appeal to all those who are seeing or listening to this presentation is that you've seen the rigor with which this product has been developed and how many refining stages it has gone through. So if you can now help Akash and his organization, his startup, sell this better, that will be a great contribution to the startup ecosystem. So you can connect him to right people who can help market it, sell it, or you even users. For example, in MNIT India shop, we have placed a big number of these masks, and many MNIT members are using it. Similarly, it can be placed in other institutes as well, if they want, other hospitals, other medical shops, and all those things. So if you can give leads to start Akash, that will be a really good contribution to this.
Sorry, sir, the leads.
Business leads, if they can give you
Absolutely. We are,
acknowledgement to your efforts.
we need all the help of the startup community and the friends sitting here in the conference. Please, if you like the work that we did, and if you are happy with the product, kindly join hands, help. Please extend your help. We'll really appreciate it.
Okay. Sanjay, unmute. Sanjay, unmute.
Okay, thank you, Akash.
Thanks a lot. Goodbye.
It was a fantastic presentation by you. And all of us can clearly see that there is an enormous number of things we are supposed to do to bring out an effective product. So we have another startup lined up who is Mr. Antriksh Rajawat. He's the founder of Zero Gravity Aerosystems Private Limited, which is a startup incorporated in 2019 at MIIC. Now, Antriksh has done MSc Physics and MSc GIS. He's an ex-Air Force NCC and RC pilot. And I'm happy to share with you that he took his studies and made it into a passion. So he deals with unmanned aerial vehicles. The turnover of his company is 60 lakhs. His drones are used in weather monitoring, public address and surveillance, agriculture and insurance surveys, climate forecasting, and delivery systems, to name a few. So,
good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. And I'm Shubham Agnihotri.
Is now there with us, and you can start, Antriksh.
Yes. Sir, I'm Shubham Agnihotri, co-founder of Zero Gravity Aerosystems, fellow partner of Antriksh Rajawat. I execute and handle all the marketing and PR stuff. So Zero Gravity, as sir has already introduced, it's a company which is manufacturing drones and into the service of survey and other related servicing and drones. So basically we have started in 2015 or 14 around. Me and Antriksh has been working together since then. Earlier we were into this entire thing as a hobby. We were just building planes for our hobby purposes. That is called aero modeling. Then we thought of making this thing a more lucrative. So we came up with this idea that we should start with we should introduce our aero modeling stuff into the market as a professional tool so that people can use it. So now we are building and manufacturing all the professional drones, which are being used by government, homeland security, and enterprises in different sectors. Like currently, CRPF is using drones for their survey purposes. And the recent projects we have done is regarding COVID survey, pollution control and monitoring systems. And some of the products and the drones were related to the PAS system, public awareness and public addressing systems. So drone is basically a medium through which you can carry a different applications in a different way. And only thing which really vary is the endurance, the way drone flies, and how flexible your machinery is to carry out the different processes. So what we are doing is we are making this particular machinery, particular setup so flexible, it can be used as many as applications we can go with. We are now working on hybrid drones, which will eliminate the use of runway, and they will fly like a helicopter and have the characteristic of plane also, the fixed wing plane. So that will be really helpful for the for remote and elevated areas like the terrain areas to just deploy them from anywhere else, anywhere possible, from hills. So that is our next project. Currently, we have done some of the projects, as I said, on COVID. In Rajasthan, we have deployed more than 20 plus drones in different districts for proper maintenance, for proper to maintain the decorum of lockdown by monitoring the crowd. Police has used it. And in NCR region, we have introduced PS system, public addressing system. In drones, we have integrated megaphones so that it is more it is more audible to people. The way the police has been doing in a conventional method was to carry a car along with them and just speaking on the loudspeaker, which wasn't really conventional, which wasn't really effective. So it is a really unique method of introducing a drone with a megaphone so that it also looks a unique feature and it is more eye-catchy. So people stay there, look at it, listen to it. So yeah, we are one of those starting companies we have who has introduced such system. And along with that, we are extensively working in survey departments. Recently, we have done a project with our RICO industrial area. Like all the industries in Rajasthan are being surveyed by us, not exactly industry, but the industrial area. So we got the order from RICO and they have allotted, they have assigned a particular small region for a pilot project. We have worked on that. And we are also looking forward to work on Make in India mission and Digital India mission so that the entire machinery can be set up here. Right now, the autopilots is being imported or outsourced. Now, what we are looking forward is to make things more encrypted, more secure. Currently, all the autopilots are being used by Chinese company through which all the data which is being uploaded on the cloud is directly going to them. So police or defense or any homeland security is not relying on all those products which has Chinese autopilot. So what are the major mission of ours is to make such a drone which has hardware and software of our company. So we would require more software engineers. Mechatronic department is also going to play a vital role in our drone manufacturing. So yes, I'm handing you over to Antariksh. Thank you, sir.
Shubham, before Antariksh, you offer a lot of opportunities for BTech and Tech projects to be contributing towards refining. So there are some small portions of your development which can be taken up as projects by a lot of students. You have been offering internship to students from different parts of the state. So I think that is still open. So there are a lot of opportunities of collaborating with the Zero Gravity. That is the name of the firm. Antariksh, over to you. Yeah. I would request again, share more about the challenges faced, difficulties faced, and how did you overcome those things? For example, cash flow during this COVID time. For example, availability of spares. For example, negotiating price and all those things. So share the struggles that you had so that others can learn.
Yeah, so we faced a lot of struggles earlier and still we are facing a different kind of struggles. Earlier it was not just financial, it was more of a resourcing and the sourcing thing. Now we are making ourselves financially stable, but the struggle still is to get the things at one place. Like many of the electrical items are not available in India and still import is banned. So we are trying to make everything. So that is the main struggle, to make things possible on the same place. This is one of the struggle, and Antariksh will tell more about this.
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible? Madhu sir, am I audible?
Yeah, Antariksh, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. This is Antariksh Rajawat from Zero Gravity Aerosystems. So as my partner told that we are into manufacturing of UAVs or unmanned aerial vehicles. This COVID situation is the most unfortunate thing that can ever happen to the humanity. And it is very disappointing that lots of startup, like there was a study that 13% of startup have closed their businesses. But for some of the startup, this is like another opportunity to make good business. So business opportunity for us was in the administration department, because during this COVID situation, we were working in Assam, and after this lockdown happened, and we also got stuck in Delhi for some days. Now, initially, we thought that the lockdown will over in 15 or 20 days or so, because we thought this is not a big thing, or COVID will just go away in 15 or 20 days, or some medicines will appear. But after the first lockdowns period, we understood that this problem is going to be with us for a long time. And because of this, administration department was facing lots of problem in controlling the lockdown and the people movement. So we thought of providing the surveillance system, because initially the department already has some drones with them. They procured some drones from the different companies earlier, but this situation was very different, because earlier they were using it for monitoring vehicle movement or traffic control, and sometime in some areas it like curfew happened, so they used to fly their drones and monitor the situation. But in this time, the lockdown or curfew was imposed in all over the state, all over the India. So they require lots of drones and lots of manpower. So in order to address that problem, we already had lots of our people with us who had their own drones. They were working in different like segments. Like some people were using their drones in the weddings, some people using their drones in the mapping section or some other places. So we coordinate all these people together, and we provided the service to the police department. We gave them the presentation, and uh, we provided all the things what we could provide to them, like the drones with the high resolution cameras, long range systems, and later on the public addressing system as well. And we contacted with the ADG of the police department in Jaipur, and he referred us to different districts of Rajasthan, and he provided the services. Also, there was lots of difficulties, because when you send people somewhere in this COVID situation, first of all, it was very difficult, because you are sending someone somewhere, like it is very dangerous right now. So that is why we had to pay them extra, because there was, of course, there was some margin in our profit. We had to earn something, but we paid as much as we could to the people who were serving in the field. Also, we also took care of their food as well as their stay, because the hotels were not operating. There was no way of having food and staying in the different districts. So we also took care of that. We coordinated with the police department. We talked to the hotels, and we opened some of them, and arranged the stay and food over there. These were some problems we faced during the working period. Another problem we faced was the drones we were using, they only had a camera on board, and that video could be broadcasted to the control center, or the control station of the drone. But the drone is flying over the heads, the people won't know the drone is flying over there. So they are just like roaming on the roofs. Like, take example of this Char Diwali area in Jaipur. It is very densely populated. So the people were roaming on the roof, and like they are gathering around in the large number on their roofs in the evening or morning. So in order to stop, we were flying the drones over there, we were looking at them, but we could not do anything, because in the meantime, you send a policeman over there, they would go in their rooms or in their homes. So that is why we came out with another solution. Like, we had to put an announcement system, so that we can live announce, you should not gather around, or you should not stand on the roof, because it was locked down over there. So that is why we came out with a solution that we should put a megaphone underneath the drone, so it can address the public, so that public can listen to it, what the police is trying to say. So in order to do that, earlier we did not have any megaphones which could be put underneath the drone. So it was very difficult to find a proper megaphone which was very lightweight, as well as we could also transmit the audio wirelessly. So we had to do lots of the R&D. We also contacted with lots of vendors, but there were no such megaphone available, which was very lightweight, like under 200 grams. And the audio should be audible to range up to say up to 500 meters. So we finally contacted a local vendor who had a small Chinese megaphone. So it was lightweight, of course. And then we developed, I also contacted by one of my friend who is good in electronics. He developed a wireless audio transmission system. So we integrated both, and then we came out with a proper solution, which had the capability of transmitting the live audio, as well as the power of the audio was very good. And this is how we manage it. So it was, of course, difficult, but I think if we decide to do something, or we do the lots of research, and somehow we come to the solutions. The next thing I would say that now, after these are the stuff we did in the lockdown period and COVID period. Now after this, now unlock is happening all over India. It is again very difficult for some startups like us who work in the other states, or they have to go one place to another to do some work. So now this lockdown is happening in the different states, and they are doing some quarantine stuff. So in this situation, we are facing a lot of problem, but I think we have to now learn how to live with the COVID, because we have to go to other states, and the person have to be quarantined for 14 days, and then he start working. And sometimes the lockdown happens in the state, they have to stay over there. The expenses are also increasing, and the budget is limited. So these are the problems we are facing right now, and I hope some solutions will appear for the COVID, and we will be able to continue our business as usual. But after this COVID situation, we are working towards developing a proper drones for these kind of situations, because these kind of situations have taught us a lot. Like the systems we are working on, like drones, they are very helpful in delivering the essential stuff, like medicines, which in the we also propose these this idea to ADG, and he was very appreciating our idea. We are also working on it, but because of the government norms, we cannot share any video or photographs with you, because the government hasn't allowed this things to be public right now. But we are working on delivering the medicines and essential stuff using the drone system. And because drone are very flexible in terms of using air to air transportation, but because of the geography of India, it is very densely populated, and you cannot just take off one place to another land on another place. So what we are planning to do initially is to deliver the medicines and essential stuff in the remote areas where by route it is very difficult to reach, or it takes a lot of time. So some medicines like which require a lot of care, like they should be refrigerated in liquid nitrogen or something like that, like blood, special group bloods. They are not readily available in the different areas. So in the remote areas, so we can deliver those things to the remote areas by drones. Yes, sir.
Somebody has raised hand. Probably she wants to ask a question to you. Jagrati Agrawal, Ms. Jagrati Agrawal, you have raised your hand. Do you want to ask something? Probably that was by mistake. Anybody who wants to ask a question, please write in the chat box. Yeah, Antriksh, continue, please. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah. So like I told, delivery system we are working on. Another thing we worked on previously was the air quality sensing drone. So this was very indigenous and good development, because day by day, because the vehicle movement is increasing, and the population is continuously increasing. That is why demand is more, and the factories are continuously polluting the air. And there are some norms from the environmental department that you have to produce this level of pollution to the environment, and you cannot produce any like more than certain level. But as we know, like some industries try to bypass it. It is very difficult to catch them, like which industry is producing more pollution and which area is producing more pollution, because the air quality sensor installed in cities, they are installed in some four-ways or some areas, like they are installed in a high raised area, so that it can uh, measure the average air pollution of the area. So that is why we came out with a solution, like drones can fly over the heads. So we mounted a air quality sensor underneath, and it was connected with GPS. So it used to map the whole area, and the resolution, the every 1 meter square, we had the sample of the air. So we can check, measure precisely which industry or which area is producing more pollution, and we can like deal according to that. So this was another good achievement.
Antriksh, there is a question from Mr. Vivek Pandey. He's asking, how will you manage the delivery of medicines, especially in hilly areas like Uttarakhand, through drone? Is it feasible to deliver medicine in hilly areas using drones? Or what are the challenges?
Yeah. So hilly areas pose lots of challenges in drones. First of all, the connectivity is very difficult by the road, or it is very like long route. So, and there are two. First of all, I will clarify, there are two type of drone category, general category. First is multi-rotor, which fly like a helicopter. It takes off vertically and land vertically. So this has a flight time of around 40 to 45 minutes maximum. And there is another kind of drone which we call fixed wing. You can see in my background, these are called fixed wing drones. These looks like a aircraft, and they fly like aircraft. So they are very good in covering large distances. So they can go up to 200 kilometers in straight direction and then come back. And if we talk about the hilly area, so these fixed wing drones can deliver the medicines in the hilly areas. This thing is happening in Uganda, in South Africa. So there's a company, Zipline, who is delivering this medicines in the hilly areas as well. Because these drones are equipped with GPS, and we have the terrain model. So we can download the terrain model from the Google Earth. So drone knows how much altitude it is flying at, and what is the altitude of the ground underneath it. So according to that, it can adjust its altitude, and it can go to the certain position and drop it. But of course, it will drop from the air, and it has the precision of 50 meters. So the parcel will land within the 50 meter of radius. So this is how it can happen. And this is happening actually in some states of South Africa. The companies is doing it for last 2 years. And we are also doing the same thing. We are working on in the testing phase.
Okay, thank you. Over to you, Monica. Unmute. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Antriksh, it was a very informative session. I believe the participants must have learned about a new avenue which can be explored. And I can assure the participants that Antriksh has done wonders, and he has got, besides the financials, he has also got commendations from the police department and the disaster management departments, because he has been helping them. For him, it was more about helping more people rather than about just getting the money factor out of it. So thanks a lot, Antriksh.
You're welcome.
So I'll just take 2 minutes more, and I would like to share a small presentation of ours with all of you. Before we close, yeah. Again, MISC is pleased to announce a new program that we have recently launched with News Angel Network LLP. It's a pre-incubation programs which is specifically meant for aspiring entrepreneurs who are planning to convert their idea into profitable ventures and innovators driven to prove themselves in the business world. So essentially this program is meant for all the startups who have recently started exploring their innovative ideas, as well as for people who are planning to explore that how they can convert their innovative idea into a profitable venture. And we have one more list of beneficiary, that is the students, but their involvement we are going to keep restricted to some percentage only. And that is, again, these seats are first come, first serve. And this particular program will involve various activities wherein participants will be taken to the different stages of feasibility study of entrepreneurial assessment. How feasible is their entrepreneurial idea, how good they are in market assessment, how good they are in financials. So it's going to be something like a hand holding till you are ready to convert your idea and you start thinking about the prototype. So you will be getting extensive counseling about your innovative idea. We will be talking about the formal induction program, how to start thinking about your innovative idea into a profitable venture. Feasibility study of the proposed business idea. We will be helping you to explore the various facets of marketing research, mastering the art of pitching, because if you're going to do some business, you will be needing the funds. And for that reason, the experts will be helping you in preparing your pitch deck. Startup ecosystem and elements, market assessment, feasibility assessment, business plan will be also helping you in converting your financial plan into the revenue model, proof of concept and guidance for developing the business plan, because these are the things any funding agency or a venture capitalist needs. So we'll be helping you in converting your idea into a very strong pitch deck. So with this, coming back, we again thank you, Antriksh and Akash. So that's all for the day. So tomorrow we will be meeting in the next session, which is about how Indian academic institutions are approaching research and solutions to combat COVID-19 in support with the government. And the panelist will be, our eminent panelist will be Ms. Suchi Sharma, IAS officer. She is Secretary, Higher and Technical Education, Government of India. Ms. Mukta Sinha, IAS, Secretary, DST, Government of Rajasthan. Dr. S.S. Manta, former Chairman, AICTE. And Dr. Dilip Sharma, he is Professor in Department of Mechanical Engineering and, of course, an expert in IPR. So that's for the day. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.